Are farmers brand loyal to their own detriment? Does it cost them money because they get too committed to the brands they love? Next thing you know, they're spending money they shouldn't spend. That's what we're talking about in this very exciting episode of The Granary.
You ready for a conversation with some real farmers about real issues? And the best part, you're invited. So pour yourself a drink, grab a snack, most importantly, pull up a chair. Welcome to The Granary. Hey guys.
All right, guys, you heard the topic. As I should probably remind our viewers, nobody knows the topic until they sit down right here. That way we keep it authentic. I'm lying because they know it by about a 10-second warning because I blew the opening, and now you're watching the second opening. So anyway, talking about brand loyalty, it happens a lot. Obviously, I think we can all come up with the most blatant example ever. It involves a certain brand of machinery. It might be a certain color and the brand loyalty that goes with that with farmers. But I think it doesn't stop there. You can talk about what brand of truck they drive. You can talk about, it goes on and on and on. Our farmers, and by the way, Brian Adams is sitting here, and he is with Volunteer Ag Services / North Delta Bio. He's with a business partner with our friend Johnny Verell, who's an XtremeAg guy. And we're joined by Dean Ladner, who is with Albaugh. And it's fitting we're talking about branded products because Albaugh, after all, is a leading manufacturer of post-patent crop protection products. So thank you very much for your sponsorship. Appreciate you joining the table. All right, you're around farmers. You've been around them a lot. Are farmers brand loyal to their own detriment?
I see it in some, not so much in others, Damian. You mentioned machinery color as one. I feel like it's pretty heavy in the seed industry as well. In a past life, I worked for one of the larger seed companies in the world. You get regionally, you get locked in on certain seed brands. And I'm not going to say there's not some significantly different regional performance among seed brands. So some of that's warranted, but it's always good to have, to be checking yourself.
Mm-hmm. You're nodding your head. I'm going to let you think on that for a second. I'm going to go to Johnny. He's a seasoned veteran here of The Granary. Do you consider yourself to be brand loyal in your purchase decisions?
I think we do, especially the machineries, the trucks we drive. We all have our favorite ones, but a lot of times we're doing that because of the service we get too. And then you tie it into some more of the inputs and stuff like that. I might not care so much where I get a certain fertilizer as long as I'm getting the fertilizer I need. We go into the input side with the chemical side. There's times where you seem to be using all the name brand stuff, the newest, the latest, the greatest. But in economies like we are right now, that doesn't work the best when we're in a price-sensitive economy, especially on the input side. So I think farmers are adapting faster and faster away from it. But I do believe that sometimes farmers do get hung up on, especially equipment side, this is the brand I am, this is what I'm going to run.
Well, I'm just going to say there's an old thing in marketing classes that humans make every decision emotionally and then back it up logically. Maybe you just did that when you said, oh, no, it's not about the brand, it's about the service. Maybe you actually are an emotional decision maker and you're saying, well, but no, I make really good decisions because of the service. I mean, there's always that possibility.
Yeah. Service is key, though, when you're trying to buy some of these inputs we have.
What do you think, Dean?
I think you can zoom out and think about it from the consumer level also. Like I think about myself going to the grocery store. I used to be strictly only brand name over-the-counter medication, for instance. All I buy was the brands. Now I find myself, as you kind of talk about some of the economic times and kind of the economic conditions that we're under, comparing labels, looking at labels. I mean, if you got the same actives, I'm a lot more prone to lean toward that, generic or that alternative offering. So yeah, I think it's, I think there's definitely a tide shift happening.
Okay. I'm going to bring a truckload of Mahindra tractors to Verell Farms, and I'm going to give you a better deal on those than one of the bigger national brands. Are you going to switch over to Mahindra?
Probably not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me it's because of service.
Yeah. Well,
I'll say, but you know what? There's a dealership across the road from your farm. The biggest Mahindra dealership across the road from your farm. Are you going to make a switch then?
We might talk about it, but I think at the end of the day, it's what farmers know too. And you go back to some of the things we talked about, active ingredients. Active ingredients can be the same one product to the next, just a different brand on it. I think when you start talking about trucks and tractors, that's not always the same. Just because it's got a different color paint doesn't have the same thing under the hood.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, what do you think?
The way you position that, though, was a full-scale swap. And there's got to be some checks and some checking out.
This is my show, Brian. I can pretty much say whatever I want.
I'm sorry, you invited me on here, so I get to argue the way I want. But no, I get 110% what you're saying. Sometimes a full-scale swap can really scare the crap out of
I think
somebody.
they call it a false comparative is what I did. Is that what they did? A false comparative? Is that the right
So
thing?
you're not comparing apples and apples.
I mean, I didn't take philosophy classes nor debate or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I was just going on there. I'm not comparing apples to apples. You're right.
You never took debate?
No. It's natural. Everything you see is
Okay.
God-given.
No, same.
Let's get into the thing. It's first off, I'm going to throw out there, we have a consolidation going on with the companies that supply farmers. So there is no more Alice Chalmers. There is no more White. There is no, I mean, so start naming all the, brands that say equipment that don't exist anymore. So at some point, maybe it's just you boil down to the ones that are left that then you have the easiest access to your point.
Yeah, I think that's what you're coming down to. And I mean, farmers are, creatures of habit, right? We're going to do what we've done before and what's worked before. Doing whole swaps doesn't hardly exist right now. It's too much of a risk.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to go back to your basics, find stuff that works for you. And if it can be in another brand and be the same active, or be in another brand and be something else, then you can do that. But whole swaps are definitely out.
Most people are creatures of habit.
Yeah.
It's not about farmers. Every person does. They obviously humans don't do change very well at all. I used to actually judge people. To go to Dean's point here about, going to the store. I used to say, oh, these idiots are all influenced by marketing. Who would ever do that? You know what? I have no brand loyalty. That dawned on me. Coors Banquet, Coca-Cola, Nestle Quick. That's just the ones that begin with a K noise.
Charmin.
That's the similar consonant, but different
Well,
sound.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you see? You sell to these people. Some of them are all just about money. Seriously, they'd sell their mother for a nickel. They don't have any brand loyalty, or do they? Is it really some of those? Because I see people that are as cheap, tight as the bark on a tree, except for when it comes to this. They'll never haggle over the price of a Chevrolet, but they'd haggle over, they'd sell their kid.
I feel that if a farmer in particular, a purchaser of products, if they have intimate familiarity with X, Y, or Z, so take seed, for example, they're going to stick to what they know. If it's something that's new to them, they're not going to haggle over that. They're going to go with whoever they trust, and whatever it is. They're, that's where it comes to, at least from my standpoint as a salesperson, being able to communicate agronomic need, understanding, and value of any given product, whatever that might be, Damian. And because of that, I feel like that's where you start to maybe get away from brand loyalty. But on the flip side, that's where you start to build brand loyalty as well from the bottom up. I guess that's a double-edged sword.
These guys are nodding their head, and I would say that what you just described is things like the agronomics or the economics. And again, that's the part that is the logic. But if you've taken branding and marketing classes, because I have done that, no debate. But emotional decisions drive this. He just made a decision. He's made a comparative that was about really, if it's a new product, it all comes down to either the trust factor or the economics.
And I think it does, because you got to look, we talked about the seed industry. The same variety is not there for just a few years. So we're always taking the next chance of what the next variety is going to be, what's the next greatest and best. I think it goes back to some of the other inputs we use. The basic parts of them are the same. They just might be rebranded. It's a little bit easier. Seed's a little riskier when you think about it sometimes. If you swap from one brand to a whole other brand, that's a big change on your farm. You don't know if it's going to work the same or not.
See, and I would make the argument that I could take 50 bags of seed and it's all the same stuff. I could make the argument that I don't think there's any difference from one label of seed to another. I don't know how there could possibly be that big of a difference. We've been breeding this stuff for 90 years. It's getting to where it's all the same. Would you agree with that, Mr. Former seed guy?
Absolutely not. No,
We're not going to agree on a lot of stuff today.
we can have a debate.
I got it.
Yeah, you messed up, Dan. It's not all created equal. I'll go with Brian on that. I mean, it's not. But I mean, a lot of things that we do in farming can be created equal, because it goes back to what they're made of, and at the end of the day, it goes back to what you're comfortable with. If you think it would be viable on your farm, if you can make that work, and if you can't, because that's what it's going to come down to at the end. We got to make a profit.
I got it. So that goes back to the other thing. Do you think that these operators are actually brand loyal to their own detriment? The title of this episode, because instead of purely looking at the bottom line, I mean, I've heard this thing before. Yeah, I'm not going to buy that brand, or I'm not going to buy that generic, because you just don't know, and that's why I'm going to stick with this. And what they're really doing is defending their rigidity, defending their fear of change with some kind of fact. I tried that once before. There's a lot of people, whether it's farmers or otherwise, do an experiment only to prove that they were right to begin with. I tried that and it didn't work. Yeah, you did everything you could to make it fail.
Yeah.
There's that too.
So to Johnny's point from earlier, I would say this has been a gradual progression over time. This is not where the numbers are changing every year. I mean, this is an AI, an active ingredient that's been the same since the 70s. So kind of similar to the beer can example we had from before we started recording. People have been introduced to generics, and it's been a process over the years to where they've tried a generic product, maybe had a good experience or a bad experience. So it's not just a wholesale. All of a sudden we're 100% branded. All of a sudden we're 100% generic. It's a process that's happened over many years.
Appreciate you bringing that up. That you like that. Yes.
You like that.
Generic beer. This was on the shelf at the grocery store in about 1979 when the economy was bad, and your blue collar guy wanted a 6-pack of beer, and this was the cheapest thing going. But it was made by the same company that had, and this has happened all the time now. Store brands. Brands are still made by Procter and Gamble, or whoever makes them for Procter and Gamble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Different
electronics, TVs.
Yeah.
So let's go back to this thing. You and I are pretty much in agreement. All seeds the same. I want to just go and reiterate that. All right, let's go back to you, Brian. Where do you think the first place to switch off is?
Well, the easy one is, as Dean mentioned, is chemical post-patent AIs, right? They've been around for 20 years minimum by the time you guys start with them, at minimum, and a lot of times longer than that. You already understand what X herbicide or Y insecticide, what it's designed for, what it does, what it's good at, what its limitations are. That's the easy button swap, because AI is AI. Going back to whether it's acetaminophen or Tylenol off the shelf at Walgreens, doesn't really matter to me. It's going to do the same thing.
And it's been tested and proven.
Yeah.
It's not like it's something totally different.
Let's go around the farm and talk about where there's a greater difference between a branded product and an unbranded product. You already said crop protection, no difference. Machinery, you already said probably a difference. Maybe it's perceived. Maybe it's because you grew up with a green hat on when you were a little kid. Maybe it's service, whatever. That seems like the one that there's the biggest reluctance to switch.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes back to this. You don't see some of the name brand equipment companies rebranding their equipment with a different color.
No.
They don't do it. So it's not the same. And I think that's where you go into on the equipment side. Not everything's created equal, whereas in some of the inputs in the chemical world, they really are, because the actives are the same.
Are you one of those people that, you think gas brands matter? Like, if you're pulling in and it's a Shell or a Sunoco, do you think there's a difference? Because I think there's absolutely a commodity product and there's zero difference, period. It's just a matter of which one's going to have the best cocoa and tap.
I buy my gas based on ease of getting in and out back onto the road. I do not care.
Smart man, me too.
Same.
Clean bathrooms, does that matter?
It does. Travel stops matter.
Yeah, I want to be able to turn right. As long as I can turn right, I'm good.
It's important. All right, keep going around the farm. All right, tires. We work with tire companies. I see the ads on rural on ag media and all that. Is there a difference in tires?
I think sometimes there is, but when you look down to it, how many miles can I get out on is what I'm going after.
Do you have brand loyalty, or do you just go with the company that comes out and takes care of the best care of you?
Yeah,
doesn't matter what the brand is.
No, does not matter.
Where do you see almost no difference at all to where it's all the same on a brand situation for farmers? Branded fertilizer products, they matter. Branded, machinery. I'm just going around the farm and thinking here, what is the stuff that doesn't matter to an average producer? Don't care what it is. Just line it up. Just deliver it here.
Struggling on that one, Daniel.
I am too.
Yeah, you set it up.
That means farmers are pretty well brand loyal. There's a certain thing that they like to do. All right, here's the next question. We'll move forward. With the pace of everything getting better, in fact, everything's becoming almost commoditized, does this matter less and less? Does this matter less 5 years from now than it did 50 years ago? When it was harder to make stuff and harder to make stuff good, it mattered more. 5 years from now, does it not even matter?
It's still going to matter in 5 years. Does it matter less? I think probably so.
Yeah.
Especially, I think if we see the economic trend in the farm community continue on the way that it's going, I do think we start looking for anywhere we can cut corners in terms of cost and still get by with the same quality of an equal or even better output.
Okay. So eventually we get to where we've got the spend out as best we can.
Until the economy gets better, and then we go right back into our same habits, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a human condition.
So if you were an agricultural brand, are you scared right now?
Depends on how big my brand is. Certain ones, yeah, I would be. I think there's fair reason to be concerned, and I think it depends on maybe which specific part of the world or which specific part of the industry you're in. But yeah, if I'm not a major company with a stranglehold on some market share, yeah, I'm probably a little concerned right now.
Or a product that the farmer has to have.
Yeah.
Because that's what farmers are trying to figure out right now. What do I have to put that crop in at 26?
So if you're saying if it's on the verge of a luxury good, peripheral,
Yeah.
do you think that those are the ones that...
If we talked about earlier, if it could be in the same brand at a cheaper price, I'd be more concerned if I was at the top tier of the market right now. If it's the same product and that could be in a different brand.
I would add in new products too.
Yeah.
A new product would be a place where a brand would matter.
Well, innovation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, here's this new XYZ Corporation rolled out this brand new thing, and oh my God, they're revolutionizing crop production again, just like they did 31 years ago, or when they came out with this or whatever. That's the big part.
Yeah.
That makes it harder than for a non-branded item.
Yeah.
Is innovation easier for a branded? You're in the space. If I'm known as nobody and I come out with this amazing innovation, then obviously failure adoption doesn't happen, and all of a sudden I can't make the thing work.
Absolutely. And then I think you get into government constraints related to innovation. It costs so much money and so many years to bring a new product. That's really what's stifling innovation is the dollars and cents of it and the time of it.
Well, that's on more in the product lineup you work with. It's not necessarily the case. If I came out with a gadget that, electronic, there's not as much restriction on, say, an electronic gadget or something like that, right? Guiding my combine or whatever that thing should be.
Versus EPA regulation of pesticides or something like that.
Crop protection.
So which ones affect us the most, though? The EPA regulations and stuff like that do. They slow everything down.
Probably. What are you not brand loyal about at all? What don't you care about? Chrissy comes home and says, you know what? We're switching from Crest to AIM. That's the toothpaste you're going to have now.
Yeah, I don't change toothpaste. I would say on our farm, fuel is one thing. We shop it out pretty hard.
You view that as a pure commodity?
Yeah, tires, same thing.
Pure commodity.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Yeah.
I think tires is a good example. I think service is the point of tires.
Yeah,
I'm still buying the tires for the same guy.
Right.
It's just, what does he have the better deal on, or is this tire going to get another 5,000 miles? That's what I'm.
What's he got in stock that day? You blow a tire, you need a tire that day. What's he got in?
Yeah. Because farmers are efficient. We're right as efficient as we can be on a lot of our equipment and stuff like that. We got to start trimming up our inputs. And like if we can buy a $300 tire and it can go 50,000 miles, or if we can buy a $300 tire and it's going to go 60,000 miles, that's what we're looking at now.
I've read stuff because I try to keep up with non-ag media, and it talks about the future, brands will matter less or not at all. And I mean, I kind of started believing some of that. And then also when you got knockoffs, it was a big thing starting even in the 80s. They weren't really Adidas. They were Adidas knockoffs. But then, you see somebody on a news report and says, okay, so we went to a different third world country and had to make pretend Adidas as opposed to the place right next door that's making real Adidas, which is also just made in a third world country. And it does make you wonder, is there truly a difference in quality, or is it just a matter of perception? And I started reading this years ago when I took a marketing class. Eventually brands go away. Do brands go away?
I don't say they're going to go away. I think they got to evolve all the time, though, to stay at the next trend or whatever it is, whether we're talking ag or apparel that we're wearing.
I mean, we've seen it. If you work in ag, I'm old enough to remember a New Idea corn picker. You guys remember New Idea corn pickers? That was their thing. None of you even remember it. Well, guess why? You know why they went away? They stopped having New Idea.
Oh.
The brands go away.
They can.
About seed. Okay, you worked in the seed business. How many seed brands have gone away, Brian, just in your career?
A bunch.
Half?
I would argue more than half. I mean, through consolidation and understand, I don't even see it like a lot of you guys in the Midwest, me being from the South, the regional corn seed brands that I won't say dominated the landscape, but were a huge part of the landscape throughout the Midwest. There's never really as big a deal in the South. But through my time in working through seed companies and understanding the timeline of companies being bought out, consolidated, rolled up, merged, whatever it may have been, a lot of that's happened in the last 15, 20 years. And so that, but let's think about, there was a certain auto manufacturer, Super Bowl commercial sometime about 10 years ago that the So God Made a Farmer, the Paul Harvey story. They haven't been talked about nearly as much since then, right? I mean, the brand hasn't gone away, but is it fallen by the wayside, maybe in the farm community, the way it's looked at?
Of course, if you sold a truck to every farmer, you still would sell it made trucks. That's why I always wondered why they went that direction on a branding thing. I mean, it was the third quarter of the football game. I was about dozing off, and I heard Paul Harvey, God Made a Farmer, talking about Dodge Ram trucks. And I thought, this is cute, it's clever, it's heartfelt, and it's touching. But if you sold a Dodge truck to every farmer, you still would sell made trucks because they made farmers.
But it pulled at a bunch of heartstrings in rural America.
It made a bunch of other people want to be farmers that day.
Yeah.
For sure.
Speaking of branding right there, and this is something that Will and I have talked about, the brand of farming, the brand of agriculture, which apparently was still strong enough that a major manufacturer of trucks wanted to tie their brand to the brand of American agriculture. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the future go? There are going to be more companies like this selling stuff that is 40-year-old technology, reconcocted, repackaged, and put it with a fresh take and a couple of new adjuvants and ingredients in it.
I think it'd be easier to do that than it is to come up with the new ones because of the regulations. So I think, we're going to start looking at that and going back to where we had one product that did everything for us, and now we got 5 products that we hadn't used in 20 years that can do the same thing. Just might take multiple modes to do that.
Where do farmers make bad decisions when it comes to brands? You've been around it.
It's a loaded question. I would say, I feel like from my opinion, outside looking in, a lot of times it goes back to the paint color, right, of machinery. You get so locked in and there's such discrepancies. But on the flip side, Johnny mentioned this, you might have the dealers are all becoming a network now in a specific region. You might have a really strong dealership in one color and a really weak one in another, and you go see red being more popular over here, green over there. I do get it, but at what point does that cost you money because you're not shopping, because you're not willing to look?
When does it become from a brand loyal thing where I'm going to run this one color to what it's going to cost me to run this combine on an acre? That's when farmers are going to start making these decisions. It's going to be a per acre cost.
I think you run more numbers than the average producer does. I think you are better in touch with that than the average. I think the average producer, and just like the average human, is much more emotionally driven or habit driven than they are pencil pushing driven.
Well, everything's a per cost, whether it's chemical, whether it's fertilizer, whether it's seed. The equipment, I don't think a lot of farmers have seen it as a cost basis, but that's one of the biggest costs per acre we have. It's going to come down to it where it's going to be multicolor on every farm because this company here's got the cheapest combine, this company here has the cheapest planter, and that's what we're going to put our crop in with.
Wouldn't you say economics going to cause everybody to get better? Everybody's going to be more like Johnny. Look at every input, every cost, everything that's going on.
You're going to see more happen in the next 12 months than we have in the last 5 years as far as on the economic. Farmers have got to figure it out in a hurry right now.
You believe that? You believe it?
No. Yeah.
I do, yeah.
He's from the Delta. He sees it and he believes it. I mean, it's crazy down south.
I don't know if they're going to change human behavior as quickly. Economics, you say, do change human behavior, but it's a slower grind than you think. Did we decide you're going to switch from toothpaste brands?
I recently swapped from Crest to Colgate. Real happy with my decision, so I'm okay with it. But Johnny, knowing what I know about Johnny ain't swapping. No, not as something he's got to taste.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm a Crest guy also.
I was too for years.
Coors, Coke, Quick, Crest. I've got this cuff thing. I'm afraid that maybe I ever got some issue.
You need to add Q-tips in there.
See, I'm diversified. Charmin, Busch Light, Colgate. I'm different.
I appreciate your diversity. I appreciate your diversity of branding, Brian.
Absolutely.
Right. And how about trucks and cars also?
I've got a Ford and a GM parked at my house, so I'm loyal, but so is my wife, and our loyalties are not aligned.
Got it. All right. So we asked the question, are farmers brand loyal to their own detriment? And the reality is you say probably not. You think they're going to keep switching over. And then obviously we're sponsored by a company that is a generic manufacturer, a post-patent. So that's where we think there's going to be more room for some of that stuff. But I don't think that brands are going away. I posed that question. I said I read that article. I don't think it is because of the familiarity. Brands really are based on the fact that you can talk about loyalty. There's a guy that I know that's a marketing guy, and he says, you know what great brands do? Great brands make you feel good about yourself. And so there's that thing, a brand that makes you, I'm a Coors guy, I'm a Ford, whatever, I'm a Chanel woman, or whatever those things are. I think that that's why branding doesn't go away. I'm convinced that it will not, because of the familiarity and the fact that it tends to make people put themselves into a camp, and folks like to do that. So that's my assessment, that brands stay around for a while, but you are in the business of selling against brands. What challenges that present, even in a poor economic environment? We're talking right now that all these farmers are going to lose money on every acre they farm, and yet somehow they're still going to be loyal to the brand. What do you face?
Well, I think you hit on it right there. I mean, brands are emotional. People buy brands for a reason, and a lot of times it's not price; it's because the brand gives them a feeling. I would go back to Johnny's comments from earlier, kind of about economic conditions. That some of that is changing behaviors. It's not getting easier out there. It's not costing any less to farm. So guys are going to make some tough decisions, regardless of how it makes them feel.
In times like this is when farmers are really talking about using companies, that are going to make the generics or the cheaper ones out there in the market. You don't see it in times when you got $15, $16 beans as much. But I think when farmers learn what we're doing now, it's going to stay that way for a long time.
Probably so. Yeah. Probably so. They're going to be in a depressed farm economic situation. But I think that getting people to switch is very challenging, no matter. I mean, again, we just talked about the economics. My wife and I go through it. Are you going to switch off of Coors and go down to Keystone Light?
Every man's got to have a standard, Damian.
You got to draw the line somewhere.
Draw the line somewhere.
That's right.
Thank you very much. That's why you're my good friend. Brian Adams, my good friend. He's joined by Johnny Verell, and we're joined here by Dean Ladner with our sponsor in this show, Albaugh. If you enjoyed this, you know what? Pull up a chair at the next time we sit down here at this Granary table. Share this so somebody can enjoy it along with you. You know what? We've released more than 40 episodes of this Granary show, and we have more to come. So we want you to join us. It's Frank Talk with Farmers with Friends right here at the Granary. And again, go to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe if you aren't already. So much thanks for being here. Till next time from the Granary. All right, guys.